I've been getting some requests recently for a video on how to calculate macros using calories. Now, as you know, I don't use calories as a means of weight loss anymore. Just because I don't use them anymore doesn't mean that you're not interested in knowing more about that topic. And I want to make sure that you're getting to see all the topics which are important to you. I also appreciate it can be quite challenging when first moving over to a keto lifestyle. And I know when I look back at my own progress, I can recall how I needed to have that familiar reference point to start off with. And then later on, I went over to more mindful way of eating. First, decide how many calories you require to maintain your current weight. This is a simple calculation which I'll show you. Once you have your maintenance calorie number, you can decide how many calories you want to reduce by and deduct that number from your daily maintenance calories. Then consider the food groups of protein, carbs and fats and decide how many of those to eat for the best health and weight loss outcomes for you, and do a simple calculation to give you your daily macros in grams and calories. Once that's done, consider the numbers that you've set out and whether or not they may need adjusting. Take your weight in pounds and multiply it first by 12 and then by 15. So this gives me a range of calories. So you'll notice here that I've made this calculation using weight in pounds, not in kilograms. Further along in this video, I will be using kilograms and grams, and I will flag that up for you when I'm going to be doing that. Next, I'm going to be reducing my daily calories by 500 and then by 750 per day. This gives me a calorie deficit from which I can work out the number of proteins, fats and carbohydrates I want to allocate to those calories per day. Now I'm going to apply the calorie deficit for each range, and then I can decide whether I'm going to go for the higher or the lower deficit. So to summarise to this point, I have calculated my daily maintenance calories within a range, then I've reduced those amounts by the number of fewer calories I want to eat per day. This is only a gauge as to how your body is going to respond to amounts and types of food, and this takes time to consider. Better to try and adjust than not to try at all, and to carry on eating rubbish foods and feeling unwell. So at this point you will need to know your weight in kilograms. So I'm going to use 90 kilograms as the example. So say for instance I want to eat 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So I have done a separate video on deciding how much protein to eat per day. So if you've not seen that video, I would strongly recommend that you do so. The calculation for changing the amount of grams in a particular food to calories is as follows. In protein, there are 4 calories per gram of protein. In carbohydrates, there are also 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates, and in fat, there are 9 calories per gram of fat. So you'll see here I'm continuing to work in grams. Now, I've not come up with those numbers of 4, 4 and 9. They've been done in a laboratory setting, burning certain foods in water and then measuring how long it takes the surrounding water to come up to a particular temperature. I do think these numbers of 4, 4 and 9 should be taken with a certain pinch of salt, because I can't see that for every person on this planet living under individual conditions in different countries, eating individual foods made in different parts of the world, that there is one calorie number for each type of food. That to me just doesn't seem logical. I'm not saying that calories are not a scientific measurement, of course they are, and I'm not arguing with that method. I just don't agree with the application of that scientific method to the way in which the human body functions each and every day on an individual basis. I do agree that there are certain closed loops and the laws of thermodynamics do operate within those, but I don't see how you can say that something that has never seen the light of day or had any connection with nature and has been altered in its molecular state can apply to an experiment done on food over 100 years ago. Okay, so rant over now. Carry on with the video. Now, I've already calculated that I'm going to be eating 135 grams of protein a day, and I know that there are 4 calories per gram of protein. So my calculation is 135 grams multiplied by 4 equals 540. So of the total calories I'm going to eat in a day, 540 of those will be allocated to protein. Now I'll do a calculation for carbs, and then I'm going to show firstly calculations for low carb and then for keto. For this example, which is low carb, I want to eat no more than 15% of my calories from carbohydrates. So 15% of 1876, which is my daily calories, is 281 calories from carbohydrates, and then 281 divided by 4 is 70, giving me 70 grams of carbs per day. Now remember that low carb is actually anything under 130 grams of carbs a day. So 70 grams of carbs is definitely low carb, and you know, for some people that could be low enough to be keto. Although if you're a beginner to keto and low carb, you can't assume that this will be the case, and I would recommend that you do work on the intention of reducing your carbohydrates down to below 50 grams, which is the generally considered keto threshold. First, I'm going to do a calculation for 10% of my daily calories to come from carbohydrates, and then I'm going to calculate 5%. So 10% of 1876 is 187, that's calories from carbohydrates. 187 divided by 4 is 46 grams of carbs per day. And then doing the same calculation for 5%. 5% of 1876 is 93 calories from carbohydrates. 93 divided by 4 is 23 grams of carbs per day. That is very low, and I would say is low enough to be in ketosis. So I started with my daily calories of 1876, and I decided on that number based on my sedentary lifestyle, the fact that I've been used to eating a fairly good amount of food each day, and also that I'm new to low carb and keto. From there, I've taken my 1876 calories, and I want to work out how much of those I'm going to allocate to the food groups of protein, carbs and fats per day. I first calculated my protein, and that gave me a total calorie for protein of 540 calories, which is 135 grams of protein. That's based on 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. Next, I calculated my carbs, and I worked this number out for low carb and then for keto. I allocated 15% of my calories to low carb. Then I worked out for 10% and then 5% of my calories on the keto calculation. For the purposes of this example, I'm going to be choosing the low carb option. So my daily calorie allowance, 1876, of which protein 540 calories, of which low carb 281 calories. The remaining amount of 1055 is the number of calories per day I have to allocate to fat. If I'm just starting on the lifestyle and I've got gut issues, I may want to keep my protein on the lower side, say down to 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight, and perhaps start with low carb rather than keto. And remember that low carb is defined as being anything below 130 grams of carbohydrates per day, and keto is defined as anything below 50 grams of carbs per day, although of course that is different for everybody. There's no right or wrong here. There is only what works for you. And unless you have a crystal ball, there is no way of knowing beforehand what's going to be the right amount for you. Also remember that as the body heals, the needs of total calories, proteins, fats and carbs will change as the body makes its own alterations to the way it functions. So it's about trying something and seeing how you get on, and then making changes if you feel you want to, and then perhaps changing again if necessary. To eat to a set of numbers can work for a number of days or weeks or even months, and then for no obvious reason at all, it stops working and you stall or even put weight on. And that doesn't mean that you've done something wrong. It just means that it's your body's way of telling you that it's healed enough for changes to be made to proteins, carbs or fats. Recognising that it's time for a change is a good thing, so don't always be put off by a weight loss, stall, or even putting on a little bit of weight. Be prepared to look out for the signals that your body is ready to eat different amounts from food groups. always consider that further along in the process you think about mindful eating, in other words responding to how your body is feeling, not eating to a pre-designated set of numbers, which in the long term really defeats the whole object of eating for health and weight loss. However, to start with, just making those first changes to your eating habits and eating real food is going to make so much of a difference. And being able to be more mindful about what you're eating and how that food has been produced is a wonderful first step in your low carb and keto journey. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for being here. If there's anything else that you'd like me to do, any topic that you want me to cover, please do let me know and I will be happy to do that. So that's it for now. Take care and I'll see you soon here in the Keto Gaia kitchen. Take care. Bye for now.